What's up, Taiwan? I'm Laurel Stewart with the news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan is scrambling to get to the bottom of its first suspected case of African swine fever. It comes just months after Taiwan was classified as free of the 3 major swine diseases. Now, with the certification hanging in the balance, Taiwan's meat export ambitions are also under threat. Leslie Liao has more.
Taiwan is dealing with its first ever suspected case of African swine fever. The disease came to light after over 100 pigs at a farm in Taichung in central Taiwan mysteriously died in mid-October.
由于非洲猪瘟是台湾第一次发生的，那我们从107年开始，就是非常辛苦的这样做一个将这个病毒能够这摒除于境外。
While African swine fever is highly contagious and kills most pigs it infects, it's not dangerous to humans and cannot infect people, even if they eat pork from infected pigs. Taiwan's agricultural authorities are scrambling to get the situation under control. They've set up an emergency response center in Taichung, and over 100 pigs have been culled. Farms and vehicles are undergoing disinfection, and a 3-kilometer control zone has been set up around the pig farm where the case was detected. The government is also pausing the transport, slaughter, and export of pigs for 5 days, a measure that could be extended.
这是15天，但是我们每5天去做一个观察。那这些观察就是让我们的疫调能够就是更精准的观察。那如果说在这15天之内， 如果说我们的疫情跟它的疫调的结果，它没有在扩散的时候，那我们可能有机会提早解除这样的一个禁令。
At home, business owners are feeling frustrated.
措手不及啊，因为不知道怎么营业啊，就等于是要强迫员工去放无薪假了。
先揪一瓜吧，先冻起来。
也来不及哦，冷冻出肉没有我们要的。今天是礼拜3呢。
没多啊，无奈呀，没办法，一切临时决定的呀。
And there may be repercussions for Taiwan internationally as well. The World Organization for Animal Health in May recognized Taiwan as the only country in Asia free of the 3 major swine diseases: classical swine fever, foot and mouth disease, and African swine fever, a certification Taiwan was hoping to leverage to boost exports of fresh and processed pork to neighboring Japan and even the US. With one of its major bargaining chips under jeopardy and test results still pending, this case may have serious consequences for Taiwan. Chris Ma and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
A former lieutenant general has been sentenced to 7.5 years in prison for plotting to help China invade Taiwan. Gao Anguo, the highest-ranking officer ever convicted of spying for Beijing, was found guilty, along with 5 other retired officers, of taking Chinese money to build a spy network in Taiwan. The court confiscated more than $130,000 in illegal funds linked to the group. Prosecutors said that if China ever tried to invade Taiwan, the group planned to work with Chinese forces to overthrow Taiwan's government. Gao had traveled to China several times and even released a video urging Taiwanese soldiers not to resist if war broke out. The US Senate Foreign Relations Committee has passed a series of Taiwan-related bills, including the so-called Porcupine Act. If passed, this could make it much easier and faster for Taiwan to buy American weapons. Alan Liu reports.
Taiwan could soon be able to purchase U.S. weapons more quickly. On Wednesday, the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee passed the Porcupine Act, a bill that would streamline the lengthy arms sales process to Taiwan and granted the same treatment as the U.S.'s NATO allies. It comes as the U.S. is set to announce new global guidelines to speed up defense tech sharing with its partners, including Taiwan. The move could help ease delays in the sale of weapons, something that has affected Taiwan in recent years. Defense Minister Wellington Koo welcomed these developments, praising the U.S. efforts to strengthen Taiwan's defense capabilities and promote regional peace.
我们会等这个指引，如果有正式公布以后，我们再来进相关的跟这些厂商来进行相关的这些合作生态也好，或技术授权也好。
NATO countries get top priority when it comes to U.S. arms sales. Experts say granting Taiwan the same status would significantly cut down on government red tape, a benefit already enjoyed by several other regional partners of the U.S.
透过这个法案呢，就是让台湾可以跟日本、澳洲、韩国、以色列一样同等的待遇，就是不论是申请军售或者是总统的签发发价书、通知国会，它的时间就更短。
The Senate's committee also passed several other pro-Taiwan bills on the same day. Those include the Deter PRC Aggression Against Taiwan Act to develop economic tools to achieve that objective, U.S.-Taiwan Partnership in the Americas Act to support countries in Latin America and the Caribbean that maintain official diplomatic relations with Taiwan, and the Taiwan International Solidarity Act, which will oppose any attempts by China to resolve Taiwan's status by distorting the decisions, language, and policies of international organizations.
这几个法案呢，其实在不同的面向都给台湾很大的支持。这个美国国会在台湾的问题方面是有很高度的共识的，也是非常支持台湾的。
The bills still need to pass both the Senate and the House before they get signed into law by the president. But with Taiwan set to propose a new special defense budget with funds to buy more weapons, there's optimism here that defense ties with the U.S. could soon get even stronger. Justin Wu and Ellen Lu for TaiwanPlus.
Alexander Yu, Taiwan's representative to the US, is talking weapons delays and US-Taiwan trade ties at a defense summit in Washington. Yu says Taiwan is unlikely to receive all of the F-16s it purchased from the US by the end of 2026. The order of planes, worth about $8 billion is the biggest example of delays in delivering US-made weapons to Taiwan. Yu also commented on ongoing US-Taiwan trade negotiations, saying both sides are close to a deal and that the ties between the two countries are in a good state. A proposed redesign on Taiwan's paper currency has sparked debate about who and what should be used to represent the country.
你这个的话就是呼应这个执政党的这种转型正义的做法嘛。
基本上我们这一次的改版呢，绝对不会有政治上的一个考量。是好。
我是希望未来的新台币不要再把政治人物放到上面去，找足以这彰显台湾的特色、台湾的东西，把它放到这上面来。
The comments in the legislature come as the central bank seeks input on a full redesign of Taiwan's banknotes, the first in 24 years. The update aims to strengthen anti-counterfeiting and to use greener materials and production. Coins will not change. The bank estimates production costs will rise by about 5 US cents per bill. The smallest paper bill, 100 NT dollars, is worth about 3.2 US dollars. The first new note is slated to roll out about 2.5 years after a theme is chosen. An impasse over the location of US chip giant Nvidia's planned Taipei headquarters may soon be resolved. Shin Kong Life Insurance, the company that currently holds land rights for the plot chosen by Nvidia, has agreed to end its contract with landowner Taipei City. The move would release the land back to the city government, paving the way for Nvidia to get the rights to build there. During the back and forth, several other major cities around the country also offered land for Nvidia to build their Taiwan office. Following a cancelled meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, US President Donald Trump has sanctioned Russia's two biggest oil producers. It's a sign of growing frustration with Russia over its continued war in Ukraine. John Van Trieste reports.
It's another deadly Russian strike on Ukraine, this time on a kindergarten. 48 children inside are all safe, but traumatized. At least one adult died in this attack on the city of Kharkiv.
The children were very scared. They cried. We calmed them down. One girl had minor cuts. I provided first aid. We evacuated the children to the shelter and calmed them down as they were crying.
It was a similar story in the capital, Kyiv. Ukrainian officials said Wednesday that this attack killed 6 people, including 2 children, in and around the city. talks between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russia's President Vladimir Putin about ending Russia's war in Ukraine are scrapped indefinitely, and residents here can't foresee peace anytime soon.
What sort of ceasefire can we talk about when people are dying just like that? There's just no way. Students were living here. There was no military personnel here.
The U.S. president is trying to put pressure on Moscow, though. Trump wants the front line frozen. And while he says he has good conversations with Putin, they don't produce results. So he's imposing fresh sanctions, this time on Russia's two biggest oil producers, Rosneft and Lukoil. Sanctions Trump hopes won't need to last long.
We would like to see them just take the line that has been formed over quite a long period of time and go and let's, go home. Last week they had almost 8,000 soldiers killed. Many Russians were killed last week. Many Ukrainians were killed last week. We think it's ridiculous and would like to have it end.
Meanwhile, Putin spent parts of Wednesday overseeing a test of Russian nuclear forces' readiness.
Good afternoon, esteemed comrades. Today we have I stress, a scheduled training on management of nuclear forces, as the Minister of Defense has just reported. Let us start working.
Russia does these tests regularly, and they follow NATO's own annual nuclear drills earlier in the month. But these tests are useful as a reminder to the West that it's Moscow that has the world's biggest nuclear arsenal. So what's next? Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky supports the idea of a temporary freeze along the present front line. But Russia says no. It says Ukraine must disarm and hand over the land that Russia has taken, both non-starters for Ukraine. Are these latest U.S. sanctions likely to move the dial? The two targets are big producers. Rosneft alone accounts for around 40% of Russian oil and around 6% of the global supply. Still, some analysts think the sanctions won't change Putin's mind.
Even with shrinking oil revenues, which currently actually constitute about, energy revenues total constitute about 30% of Russia's budget income, so that's significant. Nonetheless, that alone is unlikely to radically alter Putin's calculus just because he's been fighting it for a while.
And so Europe's deadliest war since World War II grinds on. The cancelled Trump-Putin summit is yet another false start, and the prospect of peace remains elusive as ever. Howard Zhang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
US President Donald Trump is set to visit several Asian countries next week.
And as you know, we are going to be making a big trip next week. Some of you are going with us. We'll be going to Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan. In South Korea, I'll be meeting with President Xi of China. We'll have a pretty long meeting scheduled. We can work out a lot of our questions and our doubts and our tremendous assets together. So we look forward to it.
Trump will first travel to Malaysia on Sunday to attend the ASEAN Summit, a biannual meeting of Southeast Asian nations. Trump is then expected to visit Japan for 3 days, where he is scheduled to meet with the country's new Prime Minister, Takaichi Sanai. Later, Trump is expected to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea on the sidelines of this year's APEC summit, though China has not yet confirmed this meeting. Trump says he thinks the two sides will reach a trade deal when they meet, and he's also suggested they could discuss Taiwan. There have also been reports that Trump could meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during his trip to the region, which South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has encouraged. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out these elephants playing with pumpkins as a pre-Halloween treat. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care. See you next time.